This is the murder of Rachel Elizabeth King. Rachel King was born on September 1987 to Alan King Jr. and Carol King. Rachel was a teacher at Grover Cleveland Elementary School in the Tego section of Philadelphia. On April the 11th, 2023, Rachel and her young son Jalen to the drive-thru of a Dunkin Donuts at the Melrose Shopping Center on Cheltenham Avenue in Cheltenham Township, Pennsylvania. As Rachel and her son sat in the drive-thru, a light-colored sedan drove directly behind King's vehicle and parked a short distance away from the drive-thru lane. A man then exited the vehicle, walked up to the driver's side of the King's SUV, pulled out a gun and opened fire, shooting her multiple times according to investigators. The gunman then went back into his vehicle and fled the scene eastbound on Cheltenham Avenue, police said. King died from her injuries. Her son, who was sitting in the back seat, was not physically injured, but witnessed his mother's murder. Steele said the gunman never tried to open the door of King's vehicle, nor did he appear to speak with her prior to the shooting. Police recovered 6 fire bullet casing outside King's car. This appeared to be a target murder of a mother, Steele said in the hours after the shooting. Trying his best to gather as much information as possible about the now deceased victim, Detective Steele spoke to Rachel King's family and closest friends. Gathering information that he had collected from Rachel's loved one, he learned that Rachel's boyfriend had had an affair a year earlier with a young woman named Julie Jean. Rachel's long-term boyfriend later broke it off with Julie Jean and reconciled with her. Julie continued to harass both Rachel and her boyfriend by text messages and calls, prompting Rachel's boyfriend to get a protective order against Julie. The man that assisted in the killing and actually pulled the trigger that cost Rachel her life is Zakim Stephen Alakim, and he is said to be related to the father of Julie's children. In February 2023, cell phone records show that Jean added Alakim's phone number under ZA. Police said Alakim, who's from Philadelphia, and Jean, who's from Elkins Park, had mapped out the murder and shared a photo of the victim in the days leading up to the killing. A search in the suspect's cell phone shows that contact between the two had been deleted. Jean deleted 787 texts just 13 minutes before detective interviewed her on April 12th, the DA's office said. Many of those communications were able to be recovered by law enforcement, including the last message that Jean sent to Alakim, which was sent through Cash App at 12:11 p.m. on the day of the murder, April 11. It was a payment of $5 with an emoji message that is interpreted to mean link up, message me, no phones, that's it, the DA office said in a news release. Further investigation showed that Jean and Alakim had purchased the Mercury Sable used as the getaway car in Philadelphia on March 30th under Jean's name, authorities said. A criminal complaint said the car was purchased for $1,500. Alakim is charged with first-degree murder and continues to be held in Philadelphia jail ahead of being arraigned in Montgomery County. It was unclear if he had an attorney who would comment for him. A criminal complaint states that Alakim told investigators he was homeless for several months before the killing and selling drugs for money. He, however, denied being in Cheltenham on the day of the murder and said a friend known to him as Tizzy had borrowed his car the night before and returned it in the Kensington neighborhood on April 11. Detectives found convicted evidence of the suspect claims. Video and cell phone records show the silver stable sedan following King's car to the drive-thru on April 11, investigators said. Alakim then parked nearby before exiting his car and firing into Kingsford, police said. Later on April 11, Philadelphia police on patrol spotted the Silver Mercury stable, which was also connected to an April 7th killing along North Broad Street in Philadelphia Logan section. That April 7th shooting left a man in his 30s dead. As police tried to stop the driver, he fled at a high rate of speed before crashing into a fence along 16th Street, Steele said. Al-Hakim has remained jailed in Philadelphia since that night, Steele said. Police found fired bullet casing in his car. Montgomery County entered those spent shell casing and the ones recovered at King's murder scene in the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, Detective Steele said. That search showed that the bullets appeared to have come from a privately built ghost gun. Police later found on March 16th photo of a ghost gun on Al-Hakim's cell phone. Julie was arrested on Monday and later arraigned on first-degree murder and related counts and held without bail, according to court records, which don't list any attorney who could comment on her behalf. In the days after the shooting, a judge granted Rachel family emergency custody of her son, Jalen. The saddest part about this is Jalen's biological father was supposed to take him to violin that morning, and every Tuesday morning, Rachel's brother said, "You can't help but think that if it was the case, none of this would happen." Rachel's brother said he and his sister were 2.5 years apart and described her as his best friend and the loudest and brightest person he knew. "She didn't deserve that. No one deserved that. My nephew didn't deserve that. My family doesn't deserve that," he said. Rachel's father, Alan King Jr., spoke out on Wednesday after the charges were announced against Al-Hakim and Julie. "I would like to believe that if I sat across from these people and said, 'You get a do-over,' would you do the same thing? Don't answer me quickly," he said. "Just think about it. Think about all the people you affected. Think about your own families," King Jr. said. "Would you do the same thing again?" And that is precisely the question I have to ask myself. Was it worth it to traumatize a little boy for the rest of his life, knowing that you took his life in front of his mother and he actually witnesses with his eyes? Can you imagine how scared he must have been, how he felt when he saw his mother laying across the dashboard lifeless? And to Julie, did she think about her own kids and that she was robbing them of her mother because of her selfish action, because of emotion that she could not control? This have got to be one of the most senseless and ridiculous killings I have ever came across. It is just so senseless to take away a good, decent human being life that was striving in society because of an affair that you had, that you were in the wrong along with her boyfriend, and you took her life to justify your emotions or however you feel or however you felt that you were wrong by this man. I'm truly sorry to the King's family and the precious gift that they lost, which is Rachel. My condolences go out to her beautiful son, Jalen, and hopefully one day he'll able to get enough counseling for him to maintain a stable life and reflect fondly on the memories of his dear mother. Until next time on the Meaningful Talk Crime Doc, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you later in the comment section.